Well, isn't this interesting? South Africa feels like it's in the middle of 3 different storms right now. First of all, one group wants independence from Pretoria entirely and is now appealing directly to Donald J. Trump himself. And then another group of South Africans are trying to leave the country for refugee resettlement, and then they ended up stranded in confusion and delays overseas. And we're going to get to that. Meanwhile, protests against illegal immigration are exploding again across major cities, with frustrated citizens aiming their anger at the wrong targets, while government departments sit comfortably untouched. Wrong enemy, people. So this episode is not going to be about slogans, right? It's not going to be about blaming anybody. It's not going to be me attacking anyone. I don't do that. I'm going to tell you about systems failing in real time, which is why we're all in this mess. If you enjoy this kind of content and you want to support independent coverage, then you can buy me a coffee. Links in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe. This content, let's just say, doesn't exactly attract smiling corporate sponsors. So every donation genuinely helps. All right, let's get into it. So Cape Independence just wrote to Trump. I know, it sounds crazy. Everyone's like, wait, what? Why? Well, let's start there because this story sounds fake until you actually look into it. The Cape Independence movement and related groups have reportedly been trying to gain international attention, including from figures linked to United States conservative and political circles. The argument is simple, all right? They believe that the Western Cape is being politically trapped inside a failing national system and should have the right to pursue greater autonomy or independence. Now, immediately, half the country hears that, and then they scream, treason, what racists they are, supremacy, colonialism at its finest. But I need you to slow down, take a sip of your beer, and shut your mouth for 2 seconds. Because whether you agree with Cape Independence as a concept or not, the movement is growing, and it is growing for one reason only. People are losing their faith in national governance. That's a fact. That's the fuel. Not maps, not flags, not internet fantasies. It's because they don't trust the government you want to protect so much. And honestly, can you blame the people for questioning things anymore? I mean, South Africans are watching municipalities collapse in real time. Water infrastructure is failing. Potholes are deeper than Zuma's secrets. Electricity is unstable. Corruption scandals every week are coming out now. Files and more files from the Madlanga Commission. Police systems are under pressure because their top cops are getting arrested. Our ports are struggling. Our rails are struggling. Youth unemployment at an all-time high. So eventually people will begin asking uncomfortable questions. Like, would different governance work better? Would decentralization work better? Would provinces function better with more control over their own decisions? That is the real conversation underneath all of this. Now, enter Donald Trump. The second Trump's name gets involved, the internet completely loses its mind for some strange reason. He's like a cheat code. Because Trump has become bigger than politics at this point. If you really think about it, he's like symbolic, right? To some people, he represents resistance against globalism. To others, he represents chaos itself. To others, those who know everything about Trump, he represents what happens when you are so good at hiding your secrets from the people who love you. So when South African groups appeal toward American conservative circles or Trump-aligned audiences, critics immediately panic, right? It's foreign interference, outside meddling. But we need to ask something honestly, and that honest thing is this. Why on earth are South Africans trying to get international attention in the first place so bad? Because look, take whatever side you want, okay? But why are South Africans trying to get international recognition so bad if they're so happy? Because people feel ignored domestically. That's the truth. And this is where the ANC keeps misunderstanding modern politics completely. You cannot keep dismissing frustrations as nothing but fringe forever. Eventually, those ignored frustrations will organize themselves and be even worse. That's what movements are if they take themselves seriously. Now, again, you don't have to support Cape Independence to understand why the idea is gaining traction. People support systems that work. Simple. And when systems stop working consistently, alternatives begin to sound less crazy over time. Cape Independence sounds more normal now than it did 10 years ago. It's human nature. Michael Jackson said it best. What's fascinating is how emotionally this topic triggers people. The moment someone mentions federalism, autonomy, or independence in South Africa, the debate immediately becomes nuclear, like instantly. Why? Because deep down, people understand that this debate isn't really about geography. This debate is about trust. Do citizens still trust the national system enough to believe that things will improve? That is the real question. And for many younger South Africans, especially, the answer is becoming, you know what, I honestly don't know anymore. I mean, the SABC and other news companies try to shove it down my throat to make it look like Cape Independence, AfriForum, Solidarity are these evil entities. But I don't know anymore, right? Maybe I should look for alternatives. Maybe I should start watching the Summer Sambit more. And that uncertainty is politically dangerous, because when you start watching somebody like me, you start thinking different. Because once belief collapses, once the propaganda collapses, the impossible starts coming discussable. That's how political shifts happen historically, not overnight. Psychologically first, it starts in the mind. You grew up watching the SABC, right? And watching ANC officials have their birthday parties, and you thought, isn't this just the best political party ever? And then I show up on your YouTube For You page, and then you go, huh. And honestly, the ANC should probably stop mocking these movements, AfriForum, Solidarity, Cape Independence Forum, and they need to start asking, why are these movements growing? Why? Because dismissing frustrated people instead of addressing underlying issues is exactly how resentment hardens. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. No influencer told you this, I did. Now, whether Cape Independence ever becomes reality is another story entirely. Legally, politically, internationally, it would be extremely complicated. That's the fact. But the symbolism matters just as much. The fact that these conversations are happening at all tells you something massive about the current South African mood around here. The tension is so thick, you could cut it with a knife. People are no longer just criticizing leadership. They are questioning the structure itself, okay? And once citizens start questioning the structure, you are no longer dealing with ordinary political frustration. When citizens start doing that, now you're dealing with legitimacy anxiety. And that's much bigger, proving you're still as legit as when I voted for you.